Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy, turning tech talk into a real world stories, helping people build smarter, lead better, and even what they do. And other than Mr. Rob Broadhead.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Rob on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, I have been doing technology for about 30 years, maybe a little bit more. I have a consulting company, which you see the website there, and we help businesses do technology better, help them leverage that to be more successful. I've written a few books along the way, have a podcast, and generally do everything I can to help inform people as much as I can from my experiences.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Rob. Thank you. And today let's talk about tech tune-up, how to find and fix the hidden inefficiency in your business. So tell us, Mr. Rob, we often think of inefficiency as a people problem, but you frame as it a tech problem. What's the fundamental shift in perspective a business owner needs to make to start seeing these hidden costs?
It is not even a tech problem. It's actually a process and procedure problem. Typically, is going to be the challenge is understanding to the correct level of detail what it is you do in your business, how you attract customers, how you fulfill whatever it is that you're selling or service to the customers, and how to really like get all the details of that. Because then once you have the details, then you can systematize it. You can use technology to automate it, to simplify, to integrate, because it's first you have to know the steps that you're taking before you can, which is really defining the problem, before you can analyze those steps and find ways to do them better, faster, higher quality.
Higher quality for sure. And what are the telltale signs that a business is suffering from hidden tech inefficiency or inefficiency, even everything seems to be running okay on the surface?
A lot of times, one of the famous, I guess, quotes I'll hear from people is when they say, "Well," you'll ask them, "Why do you do it?" or "How do you do it?" and they'll just be like, "Well, that's we just do it the way we do it," or "That's the way we've always done it." Um, Things like that, terms that are not specifically talking about the process or the business, and instead are just like, well, we just do this, we just, we have customers and then we make them happy. And when you dig that next level deeper of like, well, okay, well, tell me how you make them happy, or what is the thing that you do that makes them happy or that succeeds in your business or helps you grow. uh, there's it becomes very vague, or sometimes it's just I don't really know. Another I guess telltale sign is when you ask somebody about a business owner, particularly about their technology. You say, well, what is it how do you use technology to help your business? And they say maybe we don't, or I don't know, or I've got some people that do it, but I'm not really sure what they do. Those a lot of times are going to be some of those red flags or some of those telltale signs that maybe we need to do a tech assessment, do some reviews, and see where we can help you create a roadmap to get to a better place.
Mr. Rob, the source code of happiness, finding joy and success in IT career, what it's all about.
It is about it's almost an autobiographical type of book, even though it's not. It's written. I have a generic person that I walk through their career. And some of the things they can do from early career up into late career. And it is really about exactly with the subtitle, finding joy and success in an IT career. So it is me looking back at my IT career, the things I've done that helped me succeed, and move forward. The things I did that helped me find where I enjoy doing my work, and that's also been informed by lots of other people that I've talked to through, through podcasts and other things that I've done, and work experience. The people I've talked to that have done the same things, and finding some of the common threads that lead us to finding the work that actually brings us joy, the things that make us happy. And then honestly, once you're doing the stuff you love, success is almost automatic, because like the biggest part of it, you being happy, is already achieved. So whether you have a business you love, whether it's outrageously successful or it just puts food on the table, you're still going to be probably happier than somebody that is mostly unhappy in their job, no matter how successful or unsuccessful they are.
Definitely, they still yearning for more. The cause of complacency, beyond just wanted time, what is the real financial and operational impact of letting this tech inefficiency faster?
It is. It's sort of like probably the easiest way to think of it is having a junk drawer in your house, or maybe like a storage space somewhere where you just sort of like you just use it for storage. So if something comes up, and rather than address the choice of whether you need that or not, you just say, "Oh, I'm just going to throw it there in case sometime in the future I may need it." And then as time goes on, as we all know, the drawer will fill up, the storage space will fill up, and then you have to either then you have to do it all at once, and it's much more painful, or you have to, I don't know, go buy more storage or something like that, which is sort of what software does. Is companies will find technology that they won't really spend the time to utilize what they've got instead. And part of this is the technology promise, is that there's always something new out there. There's something that says this is going to solve your problems, and then 6 months later this is going to solve all your problems. And really, those tools aren't going to do it. They are tools. And so if you don't spend the time to think about the work you're doing and which tools apply best to you, then you're never going to get those efficiencies. And then you're going to actually end up getting into a worse situation, because at some point you're going to be, you're having to fix things that were built with the incorrect tool. Now, it's not a direct analogy, but definitely it is one of those things that costs, the longer you wait, like with almost anything else, the longer you wait to fix it, the more expensive it's going to be. Think of like if you've got a sickness or an illness and you just let it go, it could eventually kill you. Just like your business, if you let some of these weaknesses go, they could eventually be the death of your business, because you are not able to get free of the legacy issues that you have.
For a business owners who convinced but overwhelmed, what is the first non-technical place they should look to start uncovering their biggest tech inefficiencies?
I always start without a technology kind of view, or at least if they don't have it, if they can't offer me some steps and sort of an insight, then we start actually with a non-technical discussion, and it's what anybody can do, is they can actually look at their business and step back, even the things that, and probably even most importantly, the things that they just do automatically. It's like muscle memory, because they've been doing this for however long their business has existed, and maybe before that. Is look at what are the steps that you take, what are the tasks that you do on a regular, definitely even down to like a daily basis. What are the things that you do? And then look at which of those things are pain points, that they either are not as efficient because you feel like you're spending too much time on it, or they're a literal pain point. This is something you really don't like to do, and even when you hire people, you're not able to, it's not able to relieve the pain enough. And it's understanding that it's really looking at your business. It's not a technology issue initially. It's let's talk about your business. Let's look at what you do. What are the steps you take? What are the things that work? What are the things that, what's slow? What is, what takes too long, and what do you do well? And then we can start talking about fixing those. And really, part of those solutions is where we can start leveraging technology to do so.
Interesting, Mr. Rob. You talk about finding the inefficiencies. What's powerful question you ask, or you can ask any team member to instantly reveal a major workflow bottleneck caused by these tools?
My favorite thing is I'll start with either give me the the top three or the top five things that you do on a, let's say each week that take the most time, because those usually are going to be where you're going to find the inefficiencies. And it's often this things like, oh, well, we run this report each week, but it takes 2 days to run it, or we spend an hour entering data before we get this report. There's things like that where it's because those are going to be not necessarily easy. Those are usually going to be the things that are the biggest opportunities to make a quick improvement. If you're spending 5 seconds a day on something and we can reduce it to 4 seconds, that's not the same as if you're spending an hour a day on something and we can reduce it by 10 or 15 minutes. And so a lot of times, and that's actually a very easy thing to just repeat over and over again. It's like, what are your top three things you spend the most time on? Let's analyze those three and see if we can reduce the time on all three of them, if not at least one or two of them. And then 3 months or 6 months or a year later, come back and you ask the same question: what are the things you spend the most time on? And let's knock those things down. Let's find a way to improve those.
Mr. Rob, most businesses add software to solve problems, but rarely subtract. How does having too many disconnect apps actually become a primary source of inefficiency itself?
Yes, this is it's it goes to a couple of different things. One, software typically is not free, and I guess that's like most tools. If you think of, like, let's go with physical tools to keep it a little simpler. If you have a garage and you've got a bunch of tools, let's say you're a mechanic and you work on cars. Every time you have a specific bolt or a specific screw or a specific thing that you need to work with, you could potentially get a tool that is custom perfect, the best tool for that thing. But when you go buy the tool, now you've spent money on that tool, so you've invested in it, and then you've got to get and then you have time to maintain it and things like that. So there is a cost in going to that extra tool. If you could, instead of getting that specific tool, find a tool that is, or maybe use a tool, better yet, that you already have, then you're not going to go into that cost. You're not adding that maintenance on. Software is the same thing. If you decide that you've got, for each of your business problems, you're going to go buy software, it's actually even more complicated, because let's say that you're looking at the high end stuff, or the high level stuff like marketing, sales, human resources, and fulfillment, let's say. If you look at each of those, and each of those specifically, you're going to go get a tool for that. Then for each of those areas, you're going to specifically spend time looking at what are the requirements on it, looking at the people that offer those specific tools, going through the selection process, and then you're going to spend money on it and probably licensing as well. And when you're done, because you've done those in silos, you're going to have a good marketing tool, a good sales tool, a good HR tool, a good fulfillment tool. If instead you are growing from what you already have, then maybe you start from fulfillment. And now you say, okay, well, for fulfillment, what do we need additionally that would help us with marketing? And instead of just looking at marketing, you find a way to grow out of what you already maybe have, or some things that you can do in fulfillment. You could potentially reduce license costs, maintenance, the size of your team, because you don't need people that can support two or three different or more applications. You can find people that support that one application. It doesn't mean that you always need the all-in-one solution, but it's trying to find the sweet spot of finding the smallest amount of technology solutions that work for you, and without having that bloat and that extra overhead.
Mr. Rob, what is the most common breaking point you see where a business process and its technology are completely misaligned, forcing employees to create a manual workaround?
Oh, wow. I think it usually actually comes to it's two things. It boils down to miscommunication. Typically, what happens is that there is somebody that the disconnect is the people that buy the tools, purchase the tools, evaluate the tools, are not the people that actually use the tools. Very often, we will see things like like a sales or fulfillment tool that is owned by the company, that they say this is what we're using, and it doesn't serve the purpose, that there are some other requirements for the sales or the fulfillment people or whoever it is, there are other requirements they have. And so instead of beating their heads against the wall and trying to change the tool, they build something else. We are all humans are pretty good about figuring stuff out. It's necessity is the mother of invention. It's the same thing that we do in business all the time. Is if your tool doesn't support the people that are using it, they will find a workaround. And there's it may not be the most elegant thing, but it is something that will work around. So often they're going to take the stuff that's available to them. So they're going to build maybe an access database, or use an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document or something like that. And that now becomes part of their solution that they use, but it's completely outside of the tool. And it also becomes something that over time is not as scalable. So if you don't have a way, if you're not mapping those things, if they're not on your radar, then when you upgrade a tool, you may now break a lot of those little spreadsheets that are being dealt with. And so there's a whole bunch of time trying to get all those things in sync again. So it really does come down to not really understanding what your business does, what the people on the front line do, and what your true requirements are when a solution is either created or selected.
Mr. Rob, as a podcast host, an author, as well as entrepreneur, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Mm. Short-term goals is to try to live a fully, as much as I can, a full digital nomad life. I'm working towards that, and we'll be doing a lot of travel as part of that, things like that. It's part of that is to, and part of it's just to, one of those things I just want to explore whether I can, but more importantly in that is to be able to actually to travel, to get a better, to expand my horizons, the people that I work with, the people I interact with, and things of that nature. To go beyond just like different neighborhoods around here or different areas, but to go to different cultures, different countries, and to really just learn more about the people in the world around me. Longer term is to really is just to grow my company, to bring into employees, customers as well, but really to bring in employees that can continue to serve customers for many years to come, and leave behind something so that the work that I've put into my customers, the products, the people that are part of the company, that can carry forward, and that will then they can use that and nurture people ahead of them, things like that, to have something, leave something behind better than what I started with, I guess.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Rob, and looking forward for more success. And what would be a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Mm. Um, Never stop learning is just I'm an avid consumer of content in any way, form, and fashion, and I think that is one of the things is go out there and look for books that are in your desired area of expertise. Look for podcasts. Go hang out in like YouTube and places like that for video casts. Go have AI chats about those kinds of things and see where you can find more information. And then if you're like me and you're one who learns by doing, then just get out there and start doing stuff. Find excuses to push yourself to apply some of the things that you're learning.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Rob. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence you, Johnny?
Let's see. Two books. I'll go with two books. I'll start with Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And it is, he's an I think it was an FBI hostage negotiator. And it's a very interesting approach to negotiations he has, but he's got some really good stories. And it's a very good book for, I think, inspiring thought. And then the other one is a book called Captivate. It's actually it's by a lady named Vanessa Van Edwards, and she's got a company called The Science of People. And the book, and then their website and the things they do is about communication. It's about how to be part of it is about how to be interesting in a conversation, like in your networking or things like that. But it's also how to read and work with other people, understand where they're coming from, try to read hidden cues, try to make sure that you're not giving off hidden cues that are misleading. It's a fascinating book, I will say, and it's I think everybody can get something out of it, but it's also just really interesting to see how we are as human beings.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Rob. Thank you, thank you, thank you for empowering us. Can you share a specific example of a business you work with? What was a hidden inefficiency you found, and how did you fix it?
This is my one of my favorite stories about a hidden inefficiency was it's a company we were working with, and they had a they have a it's a very big like Fortune 50 company. The data they were dealing with that was coming into the system on I think it was on a daily basis was in the hundreds thousands, I think actually millions of transactions, and every month it was multiple millions of transactions. And they had this report that they needed to run, and it took a long time to run it. When we were building a essentially a replacement slash upgrade to the system that they had, we really struggled with this because we were talking about working with them like how do you they wanted millions of rows of data, and there was all this stuff about how do you page it, how do you display it, how do you size it, how do you do all these things so they can work with it. And as we got into it, the more we got in the conversation, we really got to the focus of like, why do you need a million records in a report? No human being can consume that much data. And we were able to, we changed the question, we changed the conversation, and it became what we found out that it was highly inefficient because what they really want is they just needed the count. They just needed to know how many records there were. And somewhere along the way, it had gotten misconstrued that all of the records were needed when it really all was needed was the total that was at the bottom of the last page. And it wasn't until we got to that point that we finally everybody got things aligned and said, this is highly inefficient. We do not need to display all this data. We do not need to go through all these hoops. We could literally build them a report that shows them one number, and that would be it. And that thing can run in, that ran in sub-second time versus the other report that was taking hours and then even more time to navigate through it. So sometimes it was a hidden inefficiency, and it goes back to sometimes you just need to step back and say, like, what problem are we really trying to solve here?
Thank you for that interesting story, Mr. Rob. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. I'm a food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in fourth season, as well as my movie 101 review, Music 101, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Rob, if you could leave our audience with one single actionable task to start their own tech tune-up this week, what it would be?
Take a look at your calendar. What do you do? What is taking the most time? And start attacking those things that are taking the most time. See if there's a way that maybe you can, at very minimal technology, improve that, automate it, simplify it, or maybe even eliminate that step. Maybe that's something that really isn't needed. Maybe it's more about that thing is just about you being busy than about you being productive and actually something that addresses your business needs or your bottom line.
Indeed, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Rob. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes. Thank you for having me. Best ways to reach me is rob at rb-sns.com. You can go to our website, rb-sns.com, which you see there. There you can do the start today. If you want to do your own tech, join with us, have us consult with you to create a technology roadmap, do a technology assessment. But there's also some plenty of articles there and things like that at the site to help you sort of do it yourself if you want to do a self-service technology assessment. And best of luck. And as always, shoot me an email if you have any questions about it. I would be more than happy to give you whatever feedback I can and any guidance that I can do so.
Yes, people, support Mr. Rob Broadhead because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy will come. So, Mr. Rob, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome, people. See you soon.